How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Kuf Nun Vav, Daf 156 of Masechta BavaBasra. 20 Daf to go in Masechta BavaBasra. Ooh, wow, that's a big accomplishment. All right. Well, what are we doing? We're gonna wrap up kind of discussion about like the cutting stuff, and then get into kind of like some more shchivmira kind of stuff. Should not be a very difficult daf. All right, we're going to start at daf Kuf Nun Vav Amud Aleph, about 8 or so lines into the daf. Amr of Nachman Amr Shmuel, yeah. Says of Nachman of Shmuel, Bodkin lekidushin legerushin velachalitza velemeunin. So we check. We check for Shtei Cyrus, for Kiddushin, Gerushin, right? Because you have to be a Gadol in order to do Kiddushin. And therefore we have to check for Shtei Cyrus, for Kiddushin. Interesting. Interesting. And Rashbam says it sounds like also we would assume the same for, meaning we would check him to make sure he's a gadol, but also her to make sure that she's a gadol. But technically, Kiddushin works with a katana, though we have seen that we don't do that, I think at least until she's a naira. But anyways. Oh yeah, but naira with Shtei Cyrus. There you go. Okay. Fine. The Kiddushin, the Gerushin, also for divorce, right? He would only be able to divorce her if he is a gadol. Villa chalitza, and for chalitza, right? So there would only be chalitza. We're gonna see in the Gemara exactly. But anyways, we'd only do chalitza. Essentially, both of them are gedolim. Right, have Shtei Cyrus. Villa meunin, as well as for meun. Meun, of course, is if a ketana is married midrabanan, i.e. by her mother or her brother, and like married her off, and she's a katana, she could simply just like walk away from the marriage, but that's so long as she's a katana. So we would check to make sure that she does not have Shtei Cyrus. Once she has Shtei Cyrus, then she would be unable to do meun. Now, and also, as we said, that somebody who inherits his father would only be able to sell the property of the estate if he is 20, and also has Shtei Cyrus. So in all of these scenarios, we have to check to make sure that in fact there are Shtei Cyrus. Now, fact the Gemara, maybe you were wondering, even though yes, technically you would have to have Shtei Cyrus in order to do to do Gerushin, but at the same time we already checked that he had Shtei Cyrus before Kiddushin. So can't you just assume that Memele, if he had Shtei Cyrus for Kiddushin, obviously he has Shtei Cyrus for Gerushin? Isn't it extra? Why do you need to also check before Gerushin? So the answer is because it's a hack. Because you can't make assumptions like that. You know, it's always good to be thorough and cover all your bases, because there are always going to be scenarios that fall through the cracks that you didn't expect, things that were unexpected. Because, for example, for Yibum, the Tananis, we learned in a Mishnah, Ben Teisha Shonim V'yom Echad Sheba Yevimto Kano, that technically, when it comes to Yibum, so if Reuven dies and there's no children, so his brother Shimon marries his wife, that's Yibum. If the brother did Yibum, if Shimon did Yibum when he was only 9 and a day, so he would be unable to then give her a get. Then they're married, and he would be unable to give her a get until he has Shtei Cyrus. Ve'nos in get ad sheigdal. So therefore, although it sounds like it's dafka for Yibum, so it sounds like the Gerushin Lamed Lo Nitzcha Ela LeYibum. Okay, so it sounds like maybe when we're talking about Gerushin or dafka, we're talking about Gerushin in the context of Yibum, since technically by Yibum, you could already technically do Yibum from 9 and a day, but Gerushin, if they want to then get divorced, would only be after Shtei Saris L'Chalitza. When we say Shtei Saris for Chalitza, that is both the boy who's doing Chalitza and the girl who is getting Chalitzad, to the exclusion of the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. The Amar who says Ish kasu beparsha aval Isha ben gedol ben ketana, that by Chalitza only the boy needs to have Shtei Saris, but the girl, however, because it says Ish, that's the boy needs to be an adult, but the girl can do Chalitza whether she's an adult or a minor. Kamash malon temakshinon isha leish delok Rabbi Yossi. Rather, what Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel is teaching us is that both the boy and the girl need to have Shtei Saris, that both need to be adults. Unlike Rabbi Yossi, who says only the boy would need to be an adult, v'la meunin, and for me'un, right? That once this girl is no longer a ketana, she can no longer do me'un. Let's make that positive. In order for her to be able to do me'un, she must be a ketana. Therefore, we check to ensure that there's no Shtei Saris. Lafukim de Rabbi Yehuda, to the exclusion of Rabbi Yehuda, the Amar ad sheyar b'shacher. The Rabbi Yehuda says actually she can still do me'un until there is more than just Shtei Saris, but there's like a lot more blackness in the pubic area, and so checking for Shtei Saris would be irrelevant according to Rabbi Yehuda, because she would still be able to do me'un until ad sheyar b'shacher kamash malon dilok Rabbi Yehuda, and therefore Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel is saying that it's unlike Rabbi Yehuda, and rather we are looking for Shtei Saris, not for ad sheyar b'shacher. V'limkar b'nichsei aviv ad sheyeh ben esrim, and when Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel says that to sell from the father's estate, he would have to be 20. Lafukimi mando amar ben shmona esrei, to the exclusion of the opinion that we saw yesterday, who said 18. So we see here that it's 20. Now, v'hilchasa tochzman kilifnizman. Yesterday we asked, is the 18th year itself or the 20th year itself like prior to that, and he's still considered a kain, or like later than that, and you'd be considered a gadol and able to sell his father's property? The answer is v'ilchasa tochzman kilifnizman, that it's like the earlier time, it's like he's a cotton, and the sale is invalid. V'ilchasa ki gidol bar Menashe, the halacha is also like gidol bar Menashe, who says, however, that even if he's older than 13, or 12 for a girl, but less than 20, still says of gidol bar Menashe, the sale of property of the inheritance would be valid if they understand buying and selling. V'ilchasa k'mar zutra, the halacha is also like k'mar zutra, that even though they cannot sell if they don't understand buying and selling, but they can testify about metaltlin. V'ilchasa ka'ameimar, the halacha is like ka'ameimar, that even though they can't sell, they can give as a gift. V'ilchasa k'Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel b'chulu, and the halacha is like Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel by all of the examples that we just learned. Now, kiddushin, gerushin, chalitza, me'un, selling stuff. Okay, we're selling the inheritance. You have to be 20. Fine. Says the Mishnah, Machalik nichosav al piv. Okay, so Shchiv Mira. So Shchiv Mira is giving away all of his stuff. So says Rabbi Lazar, a very interesting opinion. Rabbi Lazar Omer echad bari ve'echad mesukin, that whether we're talking about a matnas bari, whether we're talking about matnas Shchiv Mira, nichosim sheish lenachrayis niknim bekesav v'shtar v'chazaka v'shein lenachrayis and niknel b'meshicha. Interesting. Rabbi Lazar says that you have to make a kinyan. Up until now, we've always been seeing the opinion right there. The Gos Abach Taka adds, "V'chachamim omrim elu v'elu niknim ba'amir." You don't need a kinyan. Amir is enough. That's what we've been assuming until now, right? That if a person gives a gift, matna shchiv mira does not need a kinyan. But there was even the opinion of Shmuel, got all confused about the kinyan. Anyways, Rabbi Lazar says it does need a kinyan. Again. I'm reading that again. If somebody divides up all of his stuff, regardless of if he's healthy or if he's a shchiv mira, if we're talking about nechasim sheyesh lem achrayis, we're talking about property, niknim bekesef v'shtar v'chazaka. As we know, kinyan for property is kesef, shtar, and chazaka. V'shein lem achrayis, we're talking about metaltlin, and niknim b'meshicha. So in metaltlin you have to pick up, you have to do a kinyan meshicha. So Amrulo, so then the Chacham said to Rabbi Lazar, I'll ask you a shaila. Maisa b'imon shel b'nei roichel. There was a maisa with the mother of b'nei roichel. We saw this the other day. Shoysa chola, she was sick. She was a shchiv mira. Ve'amra, and she said, "Tnu kvinasi leviti, give my brooch to my daughter. V'b'shnei money, it's 1,200 zuzes." Umeis, and she died. V'kimu dvaro, and the chachamim said, "Okay, hand over the brooch to the daughter, even though there was no kinyan." Amar lo, and Rabbi Elazar says, "Meh." Bnei roichel tikbrem iman. The bnei roichel, they were a bunch of shtunks, and therefore, really, be'etzem, the gift was not a valid gift because the mother didn't make a kinyan. However, the chachamim were punishing the bnei roichel for being shmendriks, and the chachamim said, and they fined them and said, the 1,200 zuzes brooch is going to the sister, not to you. So Rabbi Elazar says that it really needs a kinyan. The fact that it worked with the bnei roichel without a kinyan is just that the chachamim were punishing them, the bnei roichel, the boys, for being shmendriks. Says the Gemara, Tanya, we learn about Amalayim. So the Gemara says Rabbi Eliezer, but our Mishnah was saying Rabbi Elazar. So we're going to read Rabbi Elazar, but it's interesting because the next Mishnah is Rabbi Eliezer. So it's a little bit funny, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Eliezer. But anyways, we're going to read with Rabbi Elazar because that's what the Mishnah had said. Tanya, Amalayim, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Elazar says to the Chacham, Ma'aseh b'meiroini echad shoy b'Yerushalayim. There was a Ma'aseh with a certain Meironite in Jerusalem. V'hoyilo metalton harbe, had lots of metalton. V'ikesh litnom b'matana, and he wanted to give them as a matana. Now, Rabbi Elazar is assuming that we're talking about a matnas shchiv mira. Amulo, and they said to him, Ein lem takona ad sheyakna gav karka. That, well, if Rabbi Elazar is assuming that what it means that if you wanted, the Chacham said to him, if you want to do a matnas shchiv mira, you're going to have to make a kinyan. You're going to have to, if you want to sell all of the, or if you want to transfer all of this metaltalin, you're going to have to be makna them agav karka. Let's go weiter. So halach v'lokach beisela echad samuch Yerushalayim. So he went and he bought a rocky terrain near Yerushalayim, an inexpensive piece of land, and now he owned that property. And then he was makna to it, right? Because of course, nechassim she'ein lem achayis nikim nechassim she'ein lem achayis b'keshev shtar chazaka. Basically, can be makna to them, do like a I don't know, you can do a kinyan suda or something. Whatever, it can be makna to them part of the land. And then when they receive the land, they also receive whatever metaltalin is being makna to them as well. V'amar, he said, tzvonu lefloni v'imo me'atzonu me'achavyas. Once he had this property, he then says, okay, I'm being makna the northern part of the property to Ploni, and with it, I'm also giving him 100 sheep and 100 barrels. Vidromo, and the southern part of the rocky terrain, Lefloni, I'm being makna to another so-and-so, and also to him 100 sheep and 100 barrels umes, and he died. And the Chachamim said, okay, the gift is a valid gift. So Rabbi Elazar was assuming that was a matnas shchiv mira, and the dafka needed a kinyan. He was makna agav karka. Amulo, they said to Rabbi Elazar, Misham Raya, you're bringing a proof from there. Maroni Bariaya. He was a healthy person. That's why he needed to make a kinyan. But a matnas shchiv mira would not require a kinyan according to the Chacham. Amar Loin, Bnei Rochel tikbrem iman v'chulei. Right, when the Chachamim had said, what about the Bnei Rochel, right, that their mother was a shchiv mira and she did not make a kinyan? So Rabbi Elazar said, that was just a punishment, right? The Chacham were fining the kids for being shmendriks and saying that you're not going to get the full estate, rather that brooch is going to your sister, even though technically speaking it shouldn't have because there's no kinyan. That's what Rabbi Elazar said. My time, why was Rabbi Elazar cursing these Bnei Rochel? What did they do that was so bad? Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel Mikaimikotzim Becherem Ayu, says Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel that they that it was Betzem Kilei Akerem, right? They had a vineyard and they allowed for thistles to grow in the vineyard. They allowed for thistles to grow in the vineyard, and Rabbi Elazar felt that was Kilayim Bekerem, and it needed to be destroyed, and they left it there. Rabbi Elazar is going to his reasoning, the Tanan, that we learn in a Mishnah in Kilayim, that somebody who maintains thistles in a vineyard, Rabbi Elazar Omer, Kodash, Rabbi Elazar says that would be considered Kilayim, and it's problematic. The Chacham said, Lo Kodash, Elo Davar Shekamo Mekaimin. No, it's not going to be kilayim because it only creates a situation of kilayim if it's something that people maintain and want to keep around there. But thistle in a vineyard, there's no reason to keep around, and therefore it doesn't make kilayim. Bishlama karkom chazi. So the Gemara says, look, I understand if you're going to tell me that crocus is kilei akarim, okay, because I guess people maintain crocus. What are you doing with thistle in a vineyard? Reb Chanina says, my time with Reb Elazar, what's pshat with Reb Elazar? Shekin by Ravya, Mekaimin, Kosim Bisados, Ligmalein. Well, because in, I guess, the Arabic areas, they keep thistle in their fields for their camels, so therefore Reb Elazar felt that was enough to be considered kilei akarim. Omer Reb Levi says, Reb Levi Konin Kinyan Mishriv Mira Afilu B'Shabbos, says Levi that we can make a kinyan for from a shriv mira even on Shabbos. V'lo lachu shediv Reb Elazar, not because we paskin like Reb Elazar that you need to make a kinyan by a shriv mira. No, dafka on Shabbos elashem titov daito olav, because meaning if we have a shriv mira and he's concerned that his children are not gonna do what he would like them to do with inheritance, and he wants to make a kinyan to make it official. So the whole point of Matna Shchiv Mira is to make sure that he Shalatichov Daito Olav, that he should be at ease, and he's got enough on his plate right now. So therefore, if he wants to make a kinyan, let him make a kinyan. It's okay, even on Shabbos. Says the next Mishnah, Beliezer or Mesizer Beliezer, B'Shabbos Dvarav Kayomin Mipnei She'ein Yochol Lichtov. So Rabbi Eliezer, interestingly, okay, so says Rabbi Eliezer, if on Shabbos, so now up until now we've been saying Rabbi Elazar, but now the Gersa seems to be Rabbi Eliezer. Okay. Although the Gavos V'Tzionim changed it to Rabbi Elazar, but in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yoshua is arguing with him. Usually Rabbi Yoshua would be arguing with Rabbi Eliezer, now Rabbi Elazar. So I don't know, it's confusing. So I'm just going to go with Rabbi Eliezer now, even though up until now it's basically been Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Eliezer says Rabbi Eliezer b'Shabbos Dvarav Kayamin. So even though Rabbi Elazar says that you have to make a kinyan, a shchiv mira needs to make a kinyan, but says Rabbi Eliezer on Shabbos he would not need to make a kinyan. Because he can't write. Since you can't write, so we don't have kinyanim on Shabbos. Aval lo b'chol, but not during the week. During the week, he should simply make a kinyan for a matna shchiv mira. Rabbi Yoshua Omer b'Shabbos Omer kavachomer b'chol. Interesting. Rabbi Yoshua says that on Shabbos the matna shchiv mira is acceptable without a kinyan, and kal vachomer during the week. And Rashbam explains it in a very interesting way. He invokes the concept of kol aroi lebila ein bila me'akeves v'chol she'ein roi lebila bila me'akeves bo. Right? It's a concept that we've seen a few times, that something that is when something has the potential to be done, so then even if you don't do it, it's beseder. But if something doesn't have the potential to be done, so then it doesn't work. For example, right? So the source for that, right? Bila is in the Beis Hamikdash. Right, a korban mincha, the maximum size for a korban mincha is 60, esronim of flour. And the thing, and now technically you don't need to mix it. So now the thing is, if you put in 61 esronim of flour, the ratio will be such that it will be impossible to mix it. So the shaila is, well, who cares? You don't need to mix it anyways. Even though you don't need to mix it, you have to be able to mix it. The potential has to be to mix it. If you put in 61 esronim, so then you can't, you can't mix it. And that's a problem. You have to be able to mix it. Once you're able to mix it, if you don't mix it, beseder, it's fine. Now, so here also, so Rashbam invokes that clause here as well. That according to Rabbi Yeshua, during the week, where you're able to write, and you're able to write a document to make a kinyan, so then if you don't make a kinyan, beseder. And the chiddush is that even on Shabbos, when you're unable to write, and you're unable to therefore make a kinyan, at least b'shtar, still the gift, right, the matna shchiv mira works. Again, right, so let's read it again. So Rabbi Eliezer, b'Shabbos Dvarav Kayamin, if on Shabbos there's a matna shchimira without a kinyan, that's fine. Okay, because he can't write. But during the week where he can write, he must write. Whereas Rabbi Yeshua takes it from the opposite. Right? Omer b'Shabbos amru kal v'chomer b'chol. They said on Shabbos, right? Even on Shabbos, the matna shchimira would work without a kinyan, and certainly meaning even on Shabbos when you're unable to write, still you could have a matna shchimira without a kinyan. And then certainly during the week where you are able to write, well then the matna shchimira would work without a kinyan. As long as you can write, so then you don't have to. But the chiddush is that even on Shabbos when you can't write, still the matna shchimira is acceptable without a kinyan. Kayotze ba'on Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua have a similar machlokas. Zachin the kohen vein zachin legadol, that a kohen who is not old enough to accept a gift, so somebody else has to receive it on their behalf. Vein zachin legadol, but not so for an adult. An adult needs to receive a gift himself, because since he can, he must do it himself. That's Rabbi Eliezer's opinion, but Rabbi Yeshua Omer lekohen amru kavachomer legadol. So Rabbi Yeshua says that yes, you can accept a gift on behalf of a kohen even though he can't receive it on his own, and certainly a gadol who can receive it on his own doesn't have to receive it on his own. We could receive it for him. Zachin adam shelo b'fanav. Masisin money, says the Gemara, who is the author of our Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda. It is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. It is not the opinion of Reb Meir. The Tana that we learned in a brayso of Reb Meir Omer, says Reb Meir, Rabbi Eliezer Omer bachol devar kayomin mipnei sheyachol lichtov. Oh, so according to Reb Meir, Rabbi Eliezer says that during the week a matna shchimira works without a kinyan, since he's able to write it. Right? Kol kolaroy lebila ein bila makevesbo. Avalo b'Shabbos, but not on Shabbos, since he's unable to write. Right? Ve'chol she'ein roy lebila bila makevesbo. Rabbi Yeshua Omer says Rabbi Yeshua b'chol amru. They said that during the week matna shchimira works without a kinyan. V'kavachomer the Shabbos, and certainly on Shabbos where it's impossible to make a kinyan, so it's fine without a kinyan. Kayotzebo. And similarly, remember this is like the opposite of our Mishnah. This is Reb Meir. We're saying our Mishnah is not Reb Meir, it's Rabbi Yehuda. So okay, this is Reb Meir's opinion. Kayotzebo. Similarly, Zachin the Gadol. Ve'ein zachin l'kohen divrei Rabbi Eliezer, says Rabbi Eliezer, you can accept a gift on behalf of a adult, but not on the behalf of a minor, since a minor is unable to accept gifts, so we can't accept it for him. But a gadol is able to accept gifts, so we can accept it for him. So long as he's able to, we can do it for him. Rabbi Yeshua Omer says, Rabbi Yeshua b'gadol Omer Amru, they said by a adult we can accept it on his behalf. V'kavachomer l'kohen, and certainly for a kohen, since he can't do it on his own, so we can do it for him. Now Rabbi Yehuda Omer says Rabbi Yehuda, and this is like our Mishnah. Rabbi Eliezer Omer says Rabbi Eliezer b'Shabbos dvar kayamin. On Shabbos, a matna shchimira works without a kinyan, because what can you do? You can't make a kinyan because you can't write. Aval lo b'chol, but not during the week. During the week, you're gonna have to make a kinyan since you can. Rabbi Yeshua Omer says Rabbi Yeshua b'Shabbos amru. They said on Shabbos, the matna shchimira works without a kinyan, kal v'chomer b'chol, and then certainly during the week where he's able to make a kinyan, then he doesn't have to make a kinyan. Kayotzebo, and similarly, zachin the kohen, vein zachin the gadol to Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer says that we can accept something on behalf of a kohen, since he can't accept it himself, so we could do it for him, but not for a gadol, since the gadol can do it, he must do it himself. That's Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. Rabbi Yeshua Omer says Rabbi Yeshua l'kohen amru. They said we can accept on behalf of a kohen, kavachomer l'gadol, and certainly for a gadol who is able to do it himself, so then we can do it for him. The chiddush is that a kohen who's unable to do it for himself, nonetheless, we can still do it for him. That was daf kuf nun vav, daf 156 of Masechta BavaBasra. We kind of wrapped up yesterday's discussion about like the minors and checking to see that they are minors and passing some halachas there. We saw the interesting machlokes in Rabbi Elazar and the Chachamim, that according to Rabbi Elazar, davka you have to be right. The matna shchimira you have to have a kinyan, according to Rabbi Elazar. The Chachamim of course say matna shchimira just without a kinyan is fine. He just says I'm giving all my stuff to so and so. So that works. Then we saw the machlokas between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua. An interesting machlokas. Both agree that Matnas Chimira without a kinyan works on Shabbos. The interesting thing becomes, what about during the week? Rabbi Eliezer says no. During the week you have to make a kinyan. Rabbi Yoshua says certainly during the week you would not need to make a kinyan, since during the week you can make a kinyan. It's not required, based on the principle, at least as explained by the Rashbam, of kol haroi lebila ein bila ma'akeves bo v'chol she lo roi lebila bila ma'akeves bo. Peace out.